Our greatness mindset is there to pull you and encourage you and empower you to the highest version of yourself. But the majority of the planet is not on that journey. They're not in that game. They don't even know that game exists, right? It's speeches like this. It's podcasts like this. It's like your conference that says, listen, there's this other game called greatness, right? And highest version of ourselves. Like who's willing to be on that game, right? And let's play that game together. So it's really important that you know that both games, are going on and they are vying for your agreement. And part of my narrative, my speeches is we will always agree with smallness until we learn how to come out of agreement with our smallness and start to play a new game. Because why smallness is winning is we get an agreement. We're like, yeah, I'm not perfect yet. Yeah, I'm not the right one yet. When we give it that agreement, we lose our power. We lose our way. So I love being the interruption and saying, let's start listening. I encourage you to start listening to your greatness mindset that says you are ready. You are the leader. You are the business owner. You are out to save people, transform people, help people. And when you believe that, you play that game, right?
Hello, my extraordinary women friends. As we release this episode, we've just concluded our 9th Extraordinary Women Ignite conference, raising up the aspirations, the voices, and presence of 100 incredible women. To give you a behind-the-scenes peek, I'm recording this just a tad over a week before the event. And after almost a decade, we've streamlined the preparations, and I couldn't be more thankful to my dedicated team for bringing this vision to life. By the time this reaches your ears, I know I will be brimming with gratitude and emotion, having shared intimate moments with the wonderful women at Ignite. It's a sanctuary where we fan the flames of your deepest business desires, merging the soulful with the strategic, enriching both your professional and your personal journey. This haven lets you pause, introspect, and bond with an amazing circle of women while also imparting business strategies to enhance your business's time prosperity and wealth prosperity, helping you shape a life and business you love. This essence encapsulates the work of all my mastermind programs that are now enrolling for 2024. If you envision 2024 as the year you amplify your voice, broaden your reach, and grow and scale your business and your impact, I would love to chat. Head over to CamiGellner.com/apply and let's see if we can journey together. Now, turning our focus to those making waves, I am thrilled to introduce you to today's guest, Dena Patton. Dena is a renowned business coach and speaker, guiding purpose-driven entrepreneurs and leaders worldwide for over 2 decades. Originating from New York City, she's the founder of Dena Patton Coaching and Training Company and the mind behind the influential greatness methodology. With her 3-pillar approach, Dena emphasizes systems, strategy, and mindset, building not just companies, but legacies. Recognized in over 60 media stories and grounded in values of courage, accountability, authenticity, faith, integrity, and fun, let's warmly welcome Dena Patton. Well, welcome to Extraordinary Women Radio, Dena. It is great to have you here today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm excited about our conversation.
Yeah, I'm excited. I've been looking through all of your information, your bio, and your stories, and you have done extraordinary things in your career. Having come from New York to now you're in Arizona, you're really leading a lot of change makers, a lot of influencers, and not I'd say influencers, but I mean that influencers in the real world of change makers.
Yes. Not the Instagram influencers.
Yeah, we were just chatting about this. We were just talking about Instagram influencers, and we definitely want to get into this women wanting to make a difference. And I think this is something that you and I both share this passion for is really raising up women who are out there to make an impact. What does that mean for you?
That means hiring, firing, and leading from your values. That means standing in your gifts every single day. That means leading from your greatness every day. That means putting your God or your faith, in the middle of your leadership. It's purpose. It's layers of that purpose. Values give us purpose, and our faith gives us purpose, and our gifts give us purpose. But when we forget about our purpose and our why, you lose your why, you lose your way. And
Right.
I from the get-go in this business, I started this business from a very, very dark place in my life and in my business. And I committed to myself a life in a business with purpose. And if I'm not doing it with purpose, I'm closing this business. And it was a promise to myself of 22 years ago. And, I really believe that if you lose your purpose, it becomes a grind, it becomes a paycheck, it becomes a burden, all the things it can be. And I just feel like purpose really gives the train that purpose to lead us to the vision that we're really born to, be here to impact. We all
Yeah.
have so much impact and purpose to give to the world, but I don't feel like a lot of people say yes to that calling.
Yeah. Yeah. So what was it that helped spark that knowing for you all those years ago?
For me, it was my first business in New York City was in my 20s, and I had started a PR and marketing agency. And this was before the internet. And one of the things that I noticed, I was in the entertainment industry, Broadway, film, and TV. And one of the things that I really found was the New York Times was the only source of review and promotion for theater, and it was all about Broadway. And I thought, well, what about off Broadway and off Broadway and all the dance and all the comedy and all the shows that were happening in New York City? No one's covering those. And I was like, someone should like get on that. Right. And the more I said it, the more I thought I should probably get on that. And so I started a magazine was part of my business to review and list and promote all of the shows in New York City. And what happened is as I scaled my business, I had employees, yes, and I had systems, yes, but I did not do a good job at saying no. When I had an idea, I went with it. And when a client wanted to hire me, I went with it. And what I didn't realize is I was working 16, 17 hours a day, and I was allowing my business to kill me. And
Mhm.
I didn't have the awareness and the discernment to say, I'm working 8 hours a day or even 10 hours a day.
Right.
I did not have the awareness of self care. I thought, I drank the Kool Aid of entrepreneurship, which is hustle, 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 hustle,
Oh
hustle.
yeah. Yeah.
And I think it's a deadly combination, and
Absolutely.
yeah, at 27 had a minor stroke that put
Oh
me
my gosh.
on my knees. And
Yeah.
I had to learn how to speak again. I had to learn how to believe in myself again. And I really looked around my business and said, this business is killing me and I need to change. I need better, I need to change and I need better self-care. And as I reflected in those months in recovery and just finding myself again, what I realized was I was using my gifts in the wrong way. And I hired a coach. And coaching, this is 23 years ago. Coaching
It
was
was
very
early.
new,
Right.
very new. And I fell in love with the transformation and the impact. And I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. And I thought, well, I've been a successful entrepreneur. I'm going to sell this business and get into coaching. And that's exactly what I did. I was
Oh
very
wow.
blessed that two men saw the opportunity in the internet and they said, you know what, the internet is coming. That's going to put your magazine out of business. And we want to turn it into a website. And now it's one of the biggest websites in theater in the world. And they built it, and I was able to consult on that business. And in meantime, I built my coaching practice, and I've been
Nice.
doing that for 22 years.
Excellent. That's amazing. That's a great story. I really love it. And it's, to pay attention to what your body was saying at that point
Hmm.
was like, this is not sustainable. We sometimes get those hard wake ups like you got.
Yeah.
And that's that stopping and pausing and saying, I want to do something different still takes a lot of courage.
Yes. Yes. And I knew I had a lot of good lessons. I mean, I built a successful business, and I was like, I could coach small business owners. And
Right.
just had that glimmer at first. And then combined with the coaching, I thought it would more look like marketing consulting is kind
Uh-huh.
of where I was going. And the more I got into the coaching world and really loved the transformation world, and then I did deep, deep research and mindset work and incorporated that. And so it evolved. My practice today doesn't look like it did 22 years ago. Every year, whether you're in coaching or you have a spa or you have a manufacturing company, you're going to be a different leader and you're going to have a different business every year because you're going to
Mhm.
grow and you're going to learn, know better, do better. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I call that that
Yeah.
spiral journey that we go through. I mean, we grow so much as entrepreneurs. We're growing, we're evolving, it's that spiral journey in our life. And if we're
Yes.
feeding that in a good way, we're taking care of ourselves. It becomes an upward spiral. And if
Right.
we don't feed it, it becomes that downward spiral. And that's what we really want to look for is how do we show up as our best self. I want to go
Yeah.
back to the impact question and the purpose question. And how are you really helping and guiding women today around finding and stepping into their purpose, stepping into their impact?
Such a good question, because I think a lot of entrepreneur conversations aren't talking about purpose or
Mhm.
impact. And we can get really, I love profits. I love, especially women really owning the money side of our businesses. It's
Yes.
so important, and I want to be in that conversation.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite words is and we do it with purpose and impact. And for me in my practice, as a one-on-one coach, um, why a lot of people say, why haven't you scaled into big group programs? I had to look at that. There's many of my friends who have multi-million dollar coaching practices because they have these huge groups.
Hmm.
And I love that, but it's not for me. And
Hmm.
I made a really, conscious decision of being a one-on-one coach. Now, my because I love the impact.
Right.
To go really deep with someone, you have to work one-on-one. You can't get really, really, you can get transformation work in groups for sure. But I am addicted to that deep, deep, deep impact that you can only get one-on-one. But I do retreats. I have forms of ways to work with groups. Like I
Right.
do, women's retreats. I speak all over the world to women's events. I have a book. So there's lots of ways I serve many without
Right.
having group programs, right?
Right.
But
Right.
for me, it's the impact, that deep transformation, that I love in one-on-one work. But I think part of my onboarding process, every business, I right now I have 19 clients in 5 different time zones. Every single one of them is in a different sector. One is a house builder, one is a spa and retreat center. They're all very, very, very different. But business behind the thing that you deliver, behind that is all the same. You have team and you have HR issues, you have CEO issues, you have systems, structures, you have onboarding, you have sales, like all those core things have to be purposeful and aligned. And that's the upfront piece that I always work on first. Back to your question, how do you make sure you're getting that impact? We always start with vision, values, and purpose,
Yeah.
getting them really grounded in that and really aware of how they have to live and lead from those for their team. How do you presence that for your team? Because it's one thing if you're a CEO and you really know your vision, values, and purpose, but the rest of your team like never hears it, never knows it, never is acknowledged around it, then they're not walking the talk. Right.
Right.
So it takes a lot of awareness as us, as the business owners, the CEOs. You have to
Leaders.
presence that stuff for your team, and
Yeah.
I'm not saying every minute of every day, but in your staff meetings, in very intentional ways where we are walking out our values, we are walking out our purpose. We know where this train is going, that intentionality that I think a lot of people lose because they're distracted,
Yeah.
whether that's distracted by other competitors, or that's distracted by playing an Instagram game, or that's distracted by the fires in your business, right? We
Yeah.
lose our way.
Yeah, we can definitely lose our way, and it's
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in starting with vision as well. In fact, at Ignite, my conference that is in just a little over a week, that's we spend the first morning talking about, really tapping
Yes.
into that vision, tapping into
So good.
the reason why we're doing what we're doing, and I think
Mm.
it's that just gives us a different grounding to start with, and
Hmm.
so I'm so aligned with you on that. One of the things I know that you talk a lot about is mindset, and I think that mindset is the other. We talked a bit about this personal journey that we're going on as entrepreneurs, but there's this also this whole this living into our businesses, and we're going to have stuff going on in our minds, right?
Yeah,
Stories we're going to tell ourselves. What do you tell us a little bit about the mindset work that you do?
absolutely. So I wrote a book called The Greatness Game, and I call it Greatness Training, and I call it the Greatness Mindset. So everything in my brand is in greatness, because 15 years ago I started really researching mindset, because I kept looking around all the CEOs I was coaching, the CEOs and successful people that I was admiring, and I'm thinking, why are they making it and the guy next to them is not, right? Why are some businesses working and some businesses not? And when we are talking about owning a business, everything starts in mindset. And when you start to understand that, oh my gosh, everything becomes possible, because we were born with a smallness mindset and a greatness mindset. We have them both.
Hmm.
But what we're not trained in is how to discern them and how to choose them on a daily basis. Because our smallness is nasty, it's negative. We've all heard it, right?
Right.
You're not good enough. You're not perfect enough to write a book. You can't go after those big clients. You're not good enough yet. Like, it could be perfection, it could be doubt, it could be overwhelm. There's lots of negative messages and stories, yes, that can get to us, but there's a reason smallness feeds us those narratives, and it is to stay in our comfort zone to survive. We've all heard that.
Right.
But you have to understand there's a function there. It's not just for fun. The reason smallness wants to feed you those lies and those stories are because it is not, its whole game is to keep you in smallness and keep you safe and surviving. Our greatness mindset is there to pull you and encourage you and empower you to the highest version of yourself. But the majority of the planet is not on that journey. They're
Right.
not in that game. They don't
Yeah.
even know that game exists, right?
Yeah.
It's speeches like this, it's podcasts like this, it's like your conference that says, listen, there's this other game called greatness, right? And
Yeah.
highest
Yeah.
version of ourselves. Like, who's
Yeah.
willing to be on that game, right?
Right.
And let's play that game together. So it's really important that you know that both games, are going on, and they are vying for your agreement. And part of my narrative, my speeches is, we will always agree with smallness until we learn how to come out of agreement with our smallness and start to
Mhm.
play a new game. Because why smallness is winning is we get an agreement. We're like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not perfect yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not the right one yet. When we give it that agreement, we lose our power, we lose our way. So I love being the interruption, and saying, let's start listening. I encourage you to start listening to your greatness mindset that says, you are ready. You
Yeah.
are the leader. You are the business owner. You are out to save people, transform people, help people. And when you believe that, you play that game, right? And it's a
You walk in a
totally different game.
yeah, you just walk taller, you move, you
Yes.
move with more confidence and
Yes.
you embody it. That's
Yes.
something that I often talk about with my clients is that how do we embody
Mm,
that fire, that light of who we are.
yes.
And it's doing exactly what you're talking about here. It's about, elevating the conversations we're having with ourselves.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And
And
starting to
having
believe
support.
that. Yeah. And oh, definitely having support,
Yeah.
because we have to wake up every day and ground ourselves in our greatness mindset, start believing our greatness mindset on a daily basis, and it becomes a practice. And then what starts to happen is you start to master your mindset. And, we never outsell our mindset. So if I looked at your sales right now, what that shows me, yes, it shows me your sales, but it also shows me where your mindset is. If you're
Mm,
stuck at
yeah.
$100,000, it's because your mindset is stuck at
Yeah.
$100,000,
Yeah.
right? If you're
Yeah.
stuck at $1 million, I have a $20 million client right now that came to me and said, I can't get out of 20 million. Like we're at the end of ourselves like that. I can't get out of that. It's because his mindset was stuck at that $20 million mark. So it
Yeah.
doesn't matter if it's 100,000 or 20 million, wherever your mindset is stuck, that is where you will be stuck in your sales until you have that breakthrough in mindset, right? And that is so powerful, especially for women entrepreneurs.
I would agree. So what is it, what give our listeners like a daily practice that they might do that really helps them talk to that higher
Yeah.
wisdom?
So, one, I have a free greatness mantra exercise actually on my website. If you go to amazinggreatness.com, you can download it. And it is this is exactly what it is. It's 3 exercises in your daily greatness, getting grounded and aware of your greatness. One, you have to have a greatness mantra. We are rewiring our brain to listen to something new, right? So how do you rewire something is you have to repeat it, right? So I want to help you create that greatness mantra. So that's exercise 1. 2, you have to do it every single day. That competitive ness in your mind, that smallness is competing like, no, 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 no. Listen to me. Listen to me. All right. So I know you guys are saying, yeah, I hear that voice, right? So they are competing over you. That's the empowerment we get, is we get to say, no, 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 smallness. You do not have say over me anymore, right? You do not serve me for where I am going. This train is going over here in this vision. I need to be listening to my greatness to get there, not my smallness. So it's so important every single day to get grounded in that greatness voice and listening, that you're going to live and lead from your greatness. Because I'm telling you, your smallness is baked in. It's baked in to derail your train. So you have to take control and go, you don't serve me. I'm going over here and I need my greatness to get me over there, right? Because we're always winning the games that we're playing. And if you're playing a smallness game, listen, smallness got me my first business. Like, we still produce results in our smallness. It's not that we don't produce any results. It's just they're night and day. You
Yeah.
know, how I started to show up in the world in my greatness, what I have done, because
Who you
I am
attract.
living who I attract, what I
Right.
do. I was the spokesperson for 9/11 and worked with the Pentagon and this project to heal America. Why? Because I had stepped into my greatness and I owned it, and how I showed up in the world, I got chosen for that. Right.
Yeah.
So really amazing, life-changing opportunities and relationships and things that you're going to do in your business and out of your business, the marriage you create, right?
Yeah.
It's either in smallness or greatness. So I'm just such an advocate and on a mission to help people and purpose-driven entrepreneurs really live and lead from their greatness, because it's completely different.
So love it. I really love it. So what was the address, the URL again, to download that?
Amazinggreatness.com.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I
Yeah.
love that. So, and I've heard you talk about there's a difference between an an entrepreneur mindset and a CEO mindset. What is that variance?
So a couple things. One, an entrepreneur mindset usually gets tangled in all the hats, and they're convinced that they have to do all the hats, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're doing HR and they're doing marketing and they're doing admin and they're doing it all.
Yeah.
They're usually pretty exhausted. They're pretty overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
And most the time they have that mindset is, I have to do it. I have to do it. Right.
Yeah.
Where a CEO mindset is not that. It's, how can I find the team to do it?
Yeah.
Right. CEOs, true CEOs, their eyes are on their vision. They're moving the train towards the vision, and they're empowering their people to get them there. Right.
Yeah.
So vision is really important, where we're going, and keeping that train, just keeping a train on track is a full-time job, right?
Yeah.
That CEO. Keeping the train innovative. We have all experienced so many companies in the last like 3 to 10 years that we thought were like solid, good companies. And then boom, they're out of business. You know why? They didn't innovate.
They weren't paying attention.
They did, they're doing really well and they're riding their train, but because their CEO got somewhat distracted in other games, that CEO didn't embrace the innovation to stay on track. And we have so many companies going out of business. That CEO, you have to watch where your train is going. Is it going towards your vision? Are you adding innovation to your train? Are you empowering your people to execute? Right. So very different mindsets between a CEO. And even if you have one employee or two employees or contractors,
you still can do that.
You can still do that. It's a mindset, right?
And it's what can you let go of? What can you empower somebody else to do so that you are really focused on what it is that your genius.
Yes. Yeah. So delegation is a big, when you start to delegate, that first steps of delegation is your first steps to really, and it's over time. It's not it's not in a week or in a month. It's starting to delegate to that first employee or that third employee, that fifth employee. So one, that mindset of, I have to do it all myself, to who can I find and who can be my next hire. And two, staying in your brilliant lane. You have built this business for a reason. You have brilliance. And for me, like when I started really curating, and I would say this, do this exercise, is close your eyes and imagine your business with the team that supports you to only show up in your brilliance. Like, what would that day to day look like if you, by design, only had to do what you are brilliant at? Like, what are the people that you have to have around you? And you can design that backwards. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, envision what that looks like.
Yep.
Your day to day showing up in your brilliance. Okay, so if I only showed up in my brilliant lane and did the 3 things that I'm brilliant at, what are the staff or employees or contractors I need around me to do that? And that starts to give you those ideas like, oh, that's who I have to hire. That's who I have to ask. For me, like every time I go and speak somewhere, I know I need a support person, right? Whether that I bring my person with me or I hire someone in that city, I have to have, for me to show up in the speaker, I need to show up and be in my brilliant lane. I cannot do all the other things. Yeah. Right. I have books and I have a table to set up and I have AV, and like there's all the things. I can't do that. I need a support person. Right. So that's just one example of, so I can show up in my highest and best self, serve the audience. Who do I need there? I need a hair and makeup person, and I need my like technical support person. Yeah. Right. Yeah. That's
so people around us, and being clear about what it is that what's that support you need around us, and building your pathway to it. I know as my team has grown over the years, it's it's been trial, and it's like you're trying some people on, but that clarity and vision again, and what you're trying to get to, how do you stay focused, is the brilliant piece of it, right? And it's like, how are we building our businesses to be what we want it to be?
Yes. So
and
good.
thinking that through. So the the whole the thing that we were chatting about in the green room before we jumped on here was we got off on the whole pathway of Instagram influencers, and I would love to come back to that. And the way we got there was we were talking about, we're here to put our voice out into the world,
Yes.
and there's lots of ways that we can do that, but we can get distracted. We have businesses to run. If we are all focused over on being the Instagram star, Instagram influencer, then we can get lost and not see all the other pieces of our business. So
Yes.
just would love for you to comment on this because I love what you had to say.
Yeah. Well, and it goes back to kind of what we were just saying about entrepreneur and CEO. A
Yeah,
CEO is focused on driving their business and
yeah,
driving that impact, right?
yeah,
And winning that game. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs are getting distracted in the game of Instagram and social media and all that. And distraction is a huge thing that can really derail entrepreneurs. But when you're starting to hold yourself to that CEO mindset, well, CEOs don't play that game.
yeah,
And listen, if you are winning the Instagram game, you're probably playing that game and you're winning that game. But are
right,
you sure that's the game you want to be playing?
right,
Right? So it can be, I'm on Instagram, you're on Instagram, like we're on social media, but I say how my social media goes instead of my social media having power over me,
right,
right?
right.
I think we all need social proof, right? And it's important to have that reach that we're blessed. We're living in a time, my first business, we
We didn't
didn't
have
have
that.
the internet.
Right, right.
We didn't have social. So it is a huge blessing. It is free marketing for all of
Yeah,
us. Like it's
yeah,
so crazy good, right? But you have to have a discernment line and saying, listen, I'm not playing an Instagram influencer game, right?
yeah,
I have a very full coaching practice because I'm focusing on building my business, not building my influential Instagram game, right?
yeah,
So what game do you want to play?
yeah,
And what game do you want to win? Do you want a business that has amazing profits, an amazing team, and an amazing impact? Or do you want to be an Instagram influencer?
yeah. No, I all day long with you. It's like let's work on the foundations of our business. Let's put our voice out there. It's so important to put our voice and be visible out in the world. But
Yeah.
let's just stay focused on the CEO strategies of our business. So I
Yeah.
love, love, love that. Where can people learn more about you, Dean? I know we could go on and on and on, but this is a
I love
great
this
conversation.
conversation.
Yeah, yeah. Where can people learn more about you?
Yeah, super simple. My name, denapatton.com, DenaPatton.com. My book is there. Services are there. And get on my newsletter to stay connected.
Excellent. And then the final question I always close with are what are three pearls of wisdom you'd like to leave with our audience today?
Oh, so good. First, don't ever doubt your gifts. Your gifts are why you were born and you have them, own them. Your business is a delivery platform for your gifts. Two, ground yourself in greatness every single day. Live and lead from your greatness, and your business will be drastically different 30 days from now. And your God or your spirituality, whatever that is for you, bring that into your business. And remember that piece of you, that spiritual piece of you, is a big part of your leadership too. It's not separate.
Yeah,
Those would be my three.
yeah. That's funny. I always say spirit, however you spirit. So,
Spirit,
but
however
but
you
bring it
spirit. I
in.
love
But
that.
bring it
Right?
in. Yeah, exactly.
It's part of our leadership, and it
Yeah,
shouldn't be separate. It makes us who we are. So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure getting to know you and getting to hear some of your wisdom, and just thanks for being with us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.